I'm yelling timber. You better move.
Horns.
Dan! Dude.
This Chiefs team is like, they're not good.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Morning Wood. This is episode 12. This is a sports show hosted by two idiots. We are those two idiots. My name is Matthew. I'm joined with my good friend, as always, Jason. Some people call him Jay Biggs.
Some people.
We got a lot to talk about, but first, before we get into the top of the morning news, this is a sports show. It's not just football. Jason, we were at a baseball game last night. Any thoughts on your Orioles losing? What's the initial thoughts here? What's going on?
Yeah, we've lost 10 straight playoff games, the Baltimore Orioles. So that's like pretty much my entire life of them going to the playoffs. So I'm not surprised, not happy, but yeah, baseball's over. Go Ravens. Yeah.
How was the game? You went to the game.
It was fun. It was a good game. The playoff like playoff baseball, like the atmosphere, like every pitch matters. So it's like fun, like watching the whole game. It's better than definitely better than a regular season game. Yeah. But it was a good time.
Yeah. Anyway, just wanted to hit on that really quick, but let's get into the top of the morning news. Obviously, all football related here. Star wide receiver, I should say. Davante Adams requests a trade yesterday from the Las Vegas Raiders. I think this was yesterday morning. The Raiders. The Raiders say they consider trading Adams for a second-round pick and additional compensation. Not sure what they would really looking for after a second-round pick. I feel like a second-round pick is actually kind of low for Adams. And the reason is because Adams, in the last two seasons with the Raiders, has 206 catches for 2,660 yards and 22 touchdowns. And the 22 touchdowns actually in those 2 years are tied for first with CeeDee Lamb since he got to Vegas. So it's not like he's, got his money and hid. He got his money and he's balling.
Ability-wise, he's like a top 3 receiver for sure.
Yeah, it's got to be like Jay Jettas, him, and Tyreek Hill. Like those are the 3 guys. But obviously teams could use this help. 2 of the teams that are very much considered in this talk are the Jets and the Saints. Those are the 2 teams that have been like legit landing spots for Adams. I like the Jets more in that aspect. I think as an offense, he would fit into that scheme probably a little bit better with his former quarterback, in Green Bay. And that would probably take the Jets to the best wide receiver room in the NFL easily, in my opinion. Yeah. But the other ones that have been rumored, some teams that have been rumored are the Steelers, the Chargers, and Ravens. So 2 of our teams have been rumored in there.
For the Ravens, I have no idea why.
I mean, y'all don't throw the ball, so.
It's not like we need wide receiver help. It's not like he's going to change our offense. Like, our receivers are open. They're playing fine. Like, we just run the ball. So, I don't understand that. But.
I think the reason is because he's looking to win. Like, that's the reason he even went to Vegas, was to win, a little bit change of scenery and to win. But in my opinion, his best fits, at least the teams that I would list in order, in my opinion, would be the Bills. The Bills are looking for that guy, that number 1 guy, and they're a team that's probably capable of winning a Super Bowl. So I have the Bills. Then I follow them up with the Lions. I know that they have, a potent offense, but I think adding Adams to that would just take them over the top. Then that's followed by, obviously, the Chiefs. I know there are people saying that this is not even an option. I think if the Raiders, or if the Chiefs offered the Raiders a substantial offer, I think that it would be in consideration. I know it's in division, but if they're going to offer them, I mean, the Chiefs need somebody. They got receivers hurt. There's really no veteran presence in that wide receiver room. And then I have them followed up with the 49ers and then Chargers. I feel like the 49ers could use a little bit of receiver help because apparently nobody is that number 1. The guy who wanted a lot of money in that receiver room, he's averaging like 30 yards a game, it feels like. So, and then the Chargers, obviously, going with a guy like Justin Herbert, he needs a little bit of help. So those are my teams that I would like to see him, go to. Obviously, my Steelers would be great, but I don't think that's going to happen. But it seems like he wants to win. It seems like that's his goal. If he wants to win, I think he should go to any of those teams. But he's also out. also for this week with a hamstring injury.
He's out.
Versus the Broncos. So I heard A.Q. Shipley talk about this on the Pat McAfee show. This is probably one of those injuries that are like 50-50 and you're good to go. Most of the time, you kind of just push through it. This is one of those where he's like, yeah, screw this team. I'm sick of losing.
No.
Y'all can good luck. So I don't blame him, though. It's not like he went and got a bag and didn't perform. He's performed over expectations, in my opinion, in Las Vegas, especially with
he went there to play with Derek Carr.
Right.
That's why he went to Vegas, because that's his college quarterback. He wanted to play with him. Derek Carr's not there anymore. So
he's not there, and he's played with 5 different quarterbacks
since
getting there. And he's still tied for number 1 in touchdowns, up there in catches, over 100 catches a year on like statistically, and 2,600 yards. So I'd like to see him do well. I've been a fan of Devontae, and he's worked, he's a stud. Moving on to another star player. This was actually a couple days ago, but star running back Christian McCaffrey has Achilles tendonitis in now both of his freaking legs, not just one. Now it's in both. And apparently, according to Adam Scheffler, there is no timetable for his return. I know this is kind of insane to me because he was at practice.
How do we not know this before the season that he wasn't going to be able to play? I don't understand this.
I don't understand this at all either, because he's at practice. He was when they got who returned. It was like they all returned like the same week. It was like Ayuk,
Trent Williams,
and then he showed up to practice. So I don't know how they don't know this. It was like going into the season, it was like he's going to miss a few games, and then now they have no timetable for his return for arguably the best running back in football, and they probably need a little bit of that help. I know,
they definitely do. Jordan Mason's been a good. He's not Christian McCaffrey, but he's been good.
Yeah. I mean, he's been good, but their production on offense is nowhere where it used to be as far as like the other guys they've dealt with injuries and stuff. I know Brock Purdy's playing well as far as statistics, but just overall, like I don't see how this is even like there's no timetable for your arguably best player's return. That's crazy to me. But moving on, Von Miller, of all people, is suspended for 4 games by the NFL for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. This is actually going back to last year. The veteran pass rusher suspension stems from allegations that he assaulted his pregnant girlfriend in November of 2023 during the Bills' bye week of last season. Not a good look for the Bills after especially coming off that loss. He's kind of been their closer on the D-line. He's come in this season, and he, obviously with his age and his veteran presence, he can still get the job done and get sacks. So he's kind of come in and been their closer on the D-line in a few of these games. So gonna miss that.
Sucks.
Yeah,
for just like on your like record, I guess you could say, just for like a Hall of Fame pass rusher, just to have that is just that sucks.
Yeah, not great. Kind of sad to see that news, and the Bills are probably not happy with that at all, especially after the game they just had. Moving on though, Cowboys this weekend against my Steelers on Sunday night prime time will be without Brandon Cooks. He is still dealing with a knee injury that he suffered against the Giants last Thursday in that win. And they are also missing DeMarcus Lawrence. He is out with a foot injury that he suffered in that same game as well. So the Cowboys are missing 2 of their key pieces, one on offense, one on defense against my Steelers. Not good going into that game, especially with our defense. So we'll see how that goes. And sticking with this game, lastly, on top of the morning news, head coach Mike Tomlin says that the team will prepare for Justin Fields as a starter yet again for the 5th straight week after following the loss of the Colts. So that didn't change much in the quarterback room. We'll see how that goes. I'm still on record. I want Mr. Unlimited to get out there, in my opinion. I think he's still our best bet for success. But that's top of the morning news. I mean,
I know. I'm just messing with you.
Anyway, that's top of the morning news. We had a little bit of baseball, a lot of bit of football. Let's move on.
Let's get into Antonio Brown tweeted the day.
Kicks him in. Antonio Brown.
Go on social media, man. This is about us, nobody else, man.
I tried to keep it football related here as much as I could this week with AB's Twitter. If you know, you know. But this is going back to Monday Night Football. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman bathroom break during the commercial. I actually personally like Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on ESPN, and they do have good chemistry. That's why this tweet is so funny. They're meant to be together. They're meant to talk about football together. and that's them during the bathroom break during Monday Night Football.
According to this tweet, they might meant to be together in more ways than just the booth.
You
but
never know. That's an actual picture of them together.
They are. I like that duo in the booth. They're very good. That's a great tweet.
Let's look ahead at our week picks for week 5 in the NFL. We got some good matchups. The first week where we have buys, week 5 is there's 4 teams on a bye this week. Let me pull the schedule up right here. The Lions, the Chargers, the Eagles, and the Titans all get a bye this week.
I think 3 of those teams kind of need a little bit of a regroup.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially
the Lions on a bye too. Like that's scary for whoever they play next. You don't want to play the Lions off a bye.
No.
But we do have a game tonight. The Bucks go to Atlanta. How are you feeling about this game?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This one's a tough one.
This is an interesting game. They're both coming off wins. I've picked against the Falcons last week, and I've already picked against the Bucks once, and that cost me when they played the Broncos. But I'm still going to stay true with the 3-1 Bucks. I think they had that one lull against the Broncos, but other than that, they've looked really good, especially that offense. Baker's playing really, really well. That coaching staff's doing good. So I'm gonna take the Bucks on the road in a little bit of an upset, we'll say.
Okay. I like that. I'm gonna go the other side, and I'm gonna stick with. I've been high on the Falcons to start the season. They've let me down a few times, but I think this offense gets clicking a little bit tonight. We haven't seen how there are weapons. Like Bijan hasn't been getting going at all. Drake London hasn't really been getting going. Kirk Cousins hasn't been great. Yeah, Kyle Pitts. I don't even know if he's like the best, one of the best talents at tight end, but he just never has gotten going. So. Give me the Falcons.
All right. Then we got a little – get your coffee ready, ladies and gentlemen. We got a London game Sunday morning. We have the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is returning to an old division foe. They go play Minnesota in London. What are your thoughts on this one?
I don't know. This is a weird game. I think if this was like a 1 o'clock game in Minnesota, I think I would be more decisive with my pick, but since it's like I
don't know what that was.
Since it's like a early game, early London game, you never really know what's going to happen with these. I'm gonna pick the Jets in a, I guess you would consider it a big upset against the Vikings. I'm gonna go with the Jets. I'm gonna go with Aaron Rodgers, and the offense did not look good. Like it's definitely a bounce back spot from what they did last week. But give me the Jets to go and give the Vikings their first loss of the season.
Okay. I was not expecting that. I'm gonna be on the flip side of this. I'm gonna stay believing in these guys. They're undefeated for a reason. And I think they're gonna stay undefeated. I think they kind of capitalize. It's a tough defense. It's a really bend but don't break. They give up a lot of yards, but they're great in the red zone. They're great when it comes to turnovers. They're great in pass rush. And they keep giving Sam Darnold short fields off turnovers, and that offense capitalizes. The Vikings are arguably the best team in the league for a reason. And like you said, the Jets are coming off. I do like to see the Jets bounce back a little bit here after that stinker they put up, but I still have Minnesota winning this. It may be a close game. I think it could be close.
Yeah, definitely. You never know with these London games. They get crazy.
They are a little crazy.
Then we have the Panthers going to the Bears, probably one of the least exciting matchups of the week.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with the Bears at home. Caleb Williams had a decent game last game, had some good-looking drives. The Bears, the reason I'm picking them is the Bears' defense is solid.
Yeah.
And Andy Dalton has looked decent, but I think the Bears get it done.
Yeah, the Bears definitely defensively, I think they have to be decent just off of their lack of production on offense. But I'm going to take the Red Rifle on a road.
Baby.
I'm taking the Panthers to a little bit of, I don't even want to say it's an upset. It's just 2 bad teams, but I like the veteran presence of Andy just a little bit more than the rookie. I could see this game going either way. I'm just going to choose who I think might pull it out in the.
I like it.
Half. You want to talk about your Ravens?
Yeah, big game for the Ravens. Big first division game of the year for the Ravens. They go to Cincinnati. I'm going to pick the Ravens, of course. I think we get the run game going. Hopefully we just stick to what is working for us. Give it to Derrick Henry. let Lamar run it and him being efficient with like throwing it 20 times but completing 15 passes. That works for me. Give me the Ravens.
Yeah, big game, big AFC North game. These are always fun. First division game too, I think for both of these teams, if I'm not mistaken. So
for the AFC North, maybe
it might be. Yeah, we haven't played anybody in the division yet either. So big game. I like it. I had a question mark on this game because it feels like a little bit of a trap game for y'all. Just coming off the win you guys had against Buffalo, you're on the road against not a great or 1-3 Bengals team, so it could be like a lull. But I'm going to pick Baltimore as well, and the reason is because y'all are literally a big toe away from probably being maybe even 3-1 and beating the Chiefs. So I like y'all in this game. I think it's close, though. I think a lot of fans I've seen on Twitter and stuff think probably y'all are going to crush them. I think this could be a little bit closer, especially because the Bengals offense has been getting going a little bit here. So, but I like y'all in that game.
W.
Moving on, though, talking about a banger, we got the Buffalo Bills going to Houston, 2 3-1 teams. We're going to talk about this in a little bit because it's actually our matchup of the week. So we'll break it down a little bit. I'll be quick with this. I'm sticking with the home team. I think these two teams are very close. I think this is another game that could go really either way. These are great teams, great quarterbacks, great coaching staffs. I'm going to take the younger, a little bit inexperienced team, but a little bit more raw, exciting. I'm going to go with Houston in this one. I think it's going to be a close banger of a game.
Yeah, I don't know where to go here. I have Bills written down, but I think I'm going to switch it to the Texans.
Okay.
If I think the home team gets it done here, if this was in Buffalo, I might go with Buffalo. But since it's on the road in Houston, I like Houston's defense. The offense for Houston hasn't been like the electric offense that we have been like expected to see, but I think they get it done here against the Bills.
Yeah, no, I agree. Moving on, we got a little bit of a division stinker. Kind of, we have the Indianapolis Colts going to the winless Jaguars. Who do you got in this one?
Yeah, this is still like up in the air. Like, I guess we have to make an early pick, but we don't know if Anthony Richardson's going to play. I think Jonathan Taylor has been ruled out already. I think if Joe Flacco gets the start, give me the Colts. I don't care. 0-5 Jags. I mean, I think they are favored in this game. The Jags are favored, but give me the Colts on the road to get a win.
Okay, wow. I'm on the other side of this one. I'm going to go with Jacksonville at home. I think they get their first win here. A good team to get an opportunity. They know the Colts. They've seen them before. It's a division game. And coming off of the game they had, I know they only scored like 20 points against Houston, but it was a good game. It was definitely their best game that I think they've played of the season since the Miami game. So give me the Jags. They need a win. They need a win out there in Jacksonville. I think it's going to come this Sunday.
I think the mentality of their team is just like they had a chance to win like a game, maybe 1-3, but now they're 0-4, and it's just like going to go downhill. We'll see.
Yeah.
Next up, we have another division matchup. The Miami Dolphins go to the Patriots. How do you like this game?
I don't like this game because I'm not going to be watching it. So give me New England at home, actually. Yeah. I have New England winning this. I don't know what's going on in Miami. We talked about it after their, the last two games they've had. They've just not looked good. So I don't know. That coaching staff needs to figure some things out, but give me the New England Patriots in this.
Yeah, I think the Patriots defense can do enough to give the offense some chances to score. I mean, just watching that game, like last week's game, the Titans against the Dolphins, like the Patriots can definitely make something work there and get a W. So give me the Pats.
I agree.
The Brands. The Brands.
The Brands.
Go to Washington and the Commies. I almost picked the Browns, but I didn't do it. Give me the Commanders.
I was going to say
Jaden Daniels. I'm expecting like we get like the old Commanders. We see some rookie troubles here soon from Jaden Daniels in that offense, but right now they're not showing any signs of that. I don't love it, honestly, but I'll take the Commanders.
I've picked against them the last 2 weeks. I picked against them against the Bengals. They proved me wrong. And then for some reason, after acknowledging that and making a video edit of them, I then picked them. I picked the Cardinals to beat them, and they proved me wrong again. So I'm not going to make that mistake a third time, I'm going to go with Commanders at home. I could see this being a little bit of a trap game, in a sense. I think Cleveland's defensive line could give a rookie quarterback a little bit of fits, but I'm going to pick the Commanders in this one. I'm not going to make that mistake again until they prove me wrong and lose. So I'm going to go with Commanders on this one. But moving on, we have kind of a stinker. We have I believe the 2-2 Raiders, I think they are, go to Denver and the rookie Bo and Knicks. Really quickly, because I'm probably not going to pay too much attention to this one, but I actually have the Vegas Raiders on the road in this one in Mile High City. Give me the Raiders to win. I know that they're missing Devontae Adams, but it's fine. They're going to win this game.
Yeah, I was just trying to look up if Max Crosby is playing in this game because I think he is a game changer. I didn't see anything definitive. If he's out and Devontae Adams is out, I mean, that's their two best players right there.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Broncos. I like what they're doing. They didn't have a good performance against the Jets, but they got to win. I like Sean Payton as a head coach. Bo Nix has been okay. Their defense has been really good. So give me the Broncos at home.
That's fair. I don't mind that.
Yeah. And then we have the Cardinals going to San Francisco. A lot of division matchups this week.
A lot.
I'm going to keep it short. I like the 49ers. With Debo and Kittle in the lineup, I mean, their offense looked good against the Patriots, who have a decent defense.
Yeah.
So give me the Niners at home.
Yeah. I thought the Cardinals, after the week they played, week one, how they looked against Buffalo, then they had a big win like 2 weeks ago. I thought that they were going to, kind of look a little bit better than they got absolutely destroyed by the, Commanders. So I'm going to pick the team that's coming off of a win and looks better at home, better, in my opinion, better coach, better personnel. Brock Purdy, too, is second in the league in yards right now, so not really game managing. Kind of playing a little bit above that role. So I'm gonna take San Francisco at home in this one. Could even be another back-to-back kind of blowout win for them.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. Then we got the Cheeseheads. We got Jordan Love and the boys. Second game off injury. Losing like they did against Minnesota. A little bit of a false comeback. They go to LA and play the Rams, the injured reserve roster. This is an interesting game, I feel like. What are your
it is. I'm going to go with the Packers in this one. I think the Rams, they have the worst rushing defense in the league. I think they lean on the rushing game, take the pressure off Jordan Love, and just get the run game going. And then their defense, I mean, the Rams, they're just so hurt on offense. And they have a bad defense. It's not good. It's like Matthew Stafford has to be Superman. And at this point in his career, I don't think he can do that without any weapons. So give me the Packers.
Yeah, I was swaying towards Green Bay like when I first saw the schedule, but I don't know why I'm leaning with the Rams on this one. I think just because how well they played against San Francisco and in that comeback, I feel like even though they are hurt and they really don't have a ton offensively, I think Stafford can get the job done. And I just think Green Bay is now 0-2 with Love and 2-0 with the backup. I don't know what the reason behind that is. I think it'll be a really close game, but I'm going to actually side with the Rams on this one in a bit of an upset at home. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Hey. I mean, we have kind of I don't know how I feel about this game either, but the Giants, I feel like I haven't seen them play. I mean, they played on Thursday night, so it feels like they haven't played in a while. But they go to the Seahawks. The Seahawks just lost to the Lions on Monday. I like the Seahawks. The Giants, I think it's closer than expected, but I like the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. I'll keep it short. I'm with Seattle. I think they improved to 4-1 here. I think they looked good, believe it or not, in that loss against Detroit. They kind of got shafted a little bit by the refs, but overall they look good. Geno looks really good. Yeah. So give me the Seahawks in that one.
Didn't come up with any stops against the Lions. So
no.
They have some injuries, though, on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, they missed the 5 top pass rushers on that roster. So let me talk about prime time. Sunday night prime time. We host the Dallas Cowboys. A bit of a historic battle. Couple Super Bowls against these guys. Big playoff Super Bowls. big games we've had, we've had we've had a fake spike game against these guys with Ben Roethlisberger and AB. We've had a lot of good battles with the Cowboys. Again, one of the more historic, I think, I don't want to even call it rivalries, but just games in the NFL. I'll let you go first in this one because I don't even know what I'm going to say.
I went back and forth with this one. I don't know how I feel because the Cowboys defense has not looked good to start the season.
No, they haven't.
But like the Pittsburgh offense did come alive a little bit last game in the fourth quarter. I'm gonna take the Cowboys. Just because this is the only reason. Just because they're on a mini bye. They had 10 days off. Coming off a win, which they severely needed for their season. And the Cowboys, I don't know. They're supposed to be a good football team. On paper, they're a good football team. So I'll take the Cowboys.
Yeah. I think with what I saw offensively last week, I think if the problem with our offense is we start slow, even in the games that we won, we've started slow. If we could piggyback off that and get a little bit going here, obviously Dallas is you could expose them in the run game. Multiple teams have done that. We're coming off a game where Najee Harris did not have a good game. Our offensive line specifically had a horrible game, especially in run, blocking. Pass protection wasn't bad, but we can run on them as I drop my pen. But I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with the Steelers. I'm going to pick us to improve to 4-1. I think it could be a team that could give us some fits, but I like our defensive matchup against this offense. I know we didn't have a great game last week against the Colts, but I like us in this matchup. You want to talk about your favorite team?
Yeah, I keep picking against the refs, and I don't know why. I really don't know why, but I'm gonna keep doing it. Give me the Saints. Give me the Saints on Monday Night Football against the Chiefs. This Chiefs team is they're not good. But they have Patrick Mahomes and they keep winning somehow. Give me the Saints to beat the Chiefs.
This is crazy, guys. He's picked against them so many times and he's lost.
I don't care, bro.
And you know what? We're going to come back to this. I think it's going to happen again. Give me the Kansas City Chiefs as always. I'm 5-0 or 4-0 with these guys. About to be 5-0. Obviously, the better coach and quarterback matchup in this game at home, at Arrowhead. The defense is playing out of their mind. All-pro corner, all-pro D lineman. Give me the Chiefs in this one. That's our picks.
I hate the Chiefs. They suck.
They suck, he says. Oh, that's our picks for the week. We'll see how we're a little bit close here. I think I have 37.
We're on the other side of a lot of games this week, so it should be interesting.
It's gonna be a interesting one. A lot of division games, a couple of good sprinkled in games there. Speaking of good games, let's break down this matchup of the week. The Buffalo Bills go into Houston. 2 3-1 teams. Very, very high stakes in this one. A little bit of a big AFC matchup. I wish this was a primetime game. This would be awesome.
It should be.
Yeah. Stephon Diggs revenge game? Question mark. Is this it? I don't know. Does he have a big game? I don't know. Does he not have a big game? We also don't know. Both teams coming in this game, 3-1 record. Houston is coming off of a hard-fought win, a bit of a division grind-out game, 24-20 against the Jags. The Bills are coming off getting their ass kicked by his Ravens. 35-10, not good, not good. Is the wide receiver room for the Bills in question? We talked about this before. They don't have a guy. That's why I said Devontae Adams should get into Buffalo, help this young receiving core out. Who's going to step up and be the number one? I don't know. Is it Shakir? Is it the rookie Coleman? He was drafted. He's they always say some of these receivers, they're freaks. Like Steve Smith said, he might be a freak in the sheets, but not on the field. I don't know who's going to be the number one for the Bills. It's a big question mark. Obviously, they've played well. Josh Allen is a quarterback that he might not need a guy all the time, but some weeks you do, and this might be one of those weeks. In my opinion, the biggest task for the Bills matchup is actually, it's not even on the ground, even though they just had Derrick Henry and the boys run all over them. It's actually going to be in the air. Houston is the third highest passing team, yards per game coming in with 257 going into this week. And they have the NFL receiving leader. And believe it or not, it's not actually Diggs. It's Nico Collins, who's bringing in 489 yards and 2 touchdowns in 4 games. So that's big. I mean, to have a number one guy out there and your best receiver statistically right now is really not even him. That's huge for Houston. Obviously, we said their offense hasn't been as explosive as we might have expected, but they still are putting up some good stats. The Bills secondary versus receiving core and CJ Stroud spreading the love around. That's my key matchup. I think the Bills secondary versus this offensive receiving core as a whole. That's my key matchup. And I do expect Josh Allen and the boys to come out more focused, more prepared after that beating they took. They got embarrassed last Sunday night. Usually good teams, when they're well coached, they always respond after kind of getting, embarrassed, especially in prime time. Usually well-coached teams kind of bounce back. I do expect them to have a better game. I did pick Houston in this, but I do expect Josh Allen and the boys to answer back a little bit. Just again, that question mark at receiver. Who's going to step up and be the number one? Because as of right now, it looks to be their tight end who's having a career year right now. So we'll see how that goes for them.
Yeah, great points. Like you said, I'll piggyback off you. Houston is 3-1, but every game that they've won so far has been by one possession.
Yeah,
and that was to the Colts, and that was to the Bears, and that was to the Jags. And then they got blown out by the Vikings, who are 4-0. So they don't have really an impressive win, I would say. But the Texans' defense is getting overshadowed by Stroud and the receivers, just because that's the highlight. But I think that team deserves more credit for the team being 3-1 overall. They've allowed 161 passing yards per game through 4 weeks, which is really good. But this feels like a prove-it game for the Texans for me. Like you're finally getting you got a good matchup against the Vikings and you didn't show up. So now you get the Bills coming into your house. Like, prove that you should be in the conversation at the end of the year. A big missing piece for them will be Joe Mixon out again for the Texans. The Bills just got exposed on the ground a little bit by the Ravens. So missing Mixon could be a big factor for the Texans. And then I want to see how Josh Allen and the Bills respond. Everybody was ready to give him the MVP last week before they got beat down on Sunday night by my Ravens. But how do they respond? And like I said last episode, you covered it. Who's going to be that guy that comes, who steps up for the Bills? And when they need a play, and whose name isn't Josh Allen. He's not going to be Superman jumping over guys at the goal line like he usually does every game. Who's going to be that guy that steps up? Like you said, Coleman, they drafted him in the first round for a reason. He hasn't really been – he's made like 1 or 2 big catches, but nothing really crazy. But this is a big game between two AFC teams that are expected to be at the conversation at the end of the year, and could be a big game like for a wild card spot at the end of the year. Who you never know. So huge game. I'm excited to watch this one.
Yeah, this is a banger. This is a banger game. Lot to prove in this one. I do like the point you made about Houston. This is actually a big game, honestly. If they fall to 3-2, and lose to 2 now good teams like Minnesota, and if they lose to Buffalo, that kind of shows maybe it's a little bit of a fraudulent, hype train that they have. So we'll see. Big game though.
Massive game. Let's go over our power rankings going into week 5. A lot of changes, a lot of movement from both of our lists, I believe.
Yeah.
I have a new number 1 team this week again, and that is the Minnesota Vikings, baby.
This guy's got the cycle door of number 1s. It's anybody but the Chiefs. It's anybody but the Chiefs. Next week it'll be the Commanders. The following week it'll be the Texans. It's just not going to be
just sit at 2. They'll just keep winning and then just be at 2.
This guy's an idiot. I'm going to stick with my Chiefs at number 1. They're not moving.
I have the Chiefs at 2 because they're not good, but they win, so I guess I'll keep them there.
I actually have the 4-0 Vikings, arguably everybody's best team in the league right now. I have them moving up 1 spot. I had them at 3 last week. They beat the Packers in what should have been a blowout at home, so I move them up 1 spot to number 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have my Ravens at 3 coming in hot.
This is kind of crazy.
They haven't been on my list yet, but they've been right outside the top 10, just sitting there, just being the Ravens, losing to the Raiders and stuff like that. But like the eye test proves that this team's for real. We're fast on receiver. We're big on the offensive line. Our defense needs to show up a little bit more in the passing game. But yeah, the Ravens are the third best team in the NFL.
So we're gonna stay in sanity land over here, and we're gonna put the Detroit Lions at 3.
The Lions, if we
This guy is a moron, but I'm gonna move the Detroit Lions up 2 spots. Last week they were 4. Impressive win against Seattle. Not a bad team by any means. Undefeated team. They take care of business. I have them moving up 2 spots in the 3rd spot for me.
In the 4th spot, I have the Niners. I think with Debo and Kittle back, they still are out CMC, but I think that offensive line, Brock Purdy, like you mentioned, has been playing really good ball. That defense is still that 49ers defense, so give me 49ers at 4.
Yeah, that's interesting because they'll see. Well, you can see it now because it's on the screen, but I have where I have the 49ers at. But I do have Buffalo in my 4th spot. They fall 2 spots for me. They did kind of get whooped up a little bit, but I still think one of the best coaching and quarterback combinations in the league, and I like them at 4 right now at 3-1. I know they kind of got embarrassed, but I see them bouncing back.
I get the Lions in my 5 spot. They had that offense just looks like so good.
They have weapons
just
everywhere. It's crazy.
I mean, Jared Goff, perfect game on Monday night, 18 for 18. I think I could even make an argument for them being above the 49ers, but I have them at 5.
Yeah, I watched on the Pat McAfee show, they broke down a couple of his throws, and he was not just dinking and dunking those 18. He threw some tight window throw. He's playing quietly unbelievable at the quarterback position, I will say.
I agree.
But in my 5th spot, I got Houston moving up. They do battle in a little bit of a division gritty game. Like I said, they improved to 3-1. Again, like we said, maybe a little bit of a question mark of fraudulency here. They've lost to the Vikings big. Let's see how they do against Buffalo. But I have them at the 5 spot right now. They move up 1 spot for me. So
I have the Bills in the 6th spot. They were my number 1 team last week, but that is a fall. After looking at their schedule, I mean, if they would have had a better fight against the Ravens, I probably would have kept them up in the top 5. I still think they're a good team. I think they're going to bounce back. Big game. I mean, this is a huge game, their matchup of the week this week against the Texans. And I think whoever loses that might fall out of the top 10. We'll see. But I got the Bills at 6.
In my 6th spot, I actually have the Tampa Bay Bucks led by Baker Mayfield. They're back into my top 10. I had them in my preseason top 10, I believe, and then I had them in one more week, and then they kind of got bounced out. I maybe overreacted on that loss against the Broncos because Broncos are proving to me that their defense is actually really good. They have arguably the best cornerback out there. They have some good linebackers that nobody really knows of. So really well coached defense. So I'm back in on the Bucks. They looked very good in some of these games, especially against Philly. So they're in my 6th spot at 3-1. I like the Bucks a lot.
Big game tonight for the Bucks. In my 7th spot, I have the Houston Texans. So I have 6 Bills, 7 Texans. They play each other this week. Massive game. The Texans, like I said before, they need to prove it to me right now. They need to prove it this week. Pick them to win. Go prove that you are an AFC contender. I have them in my 7th spot.
Yeah, I actually have a new comer to the top 10. I have your Baltimore Ravens in the 7th spot. I know a lot of these people got them in the top 3 already. Let's relax. I will say, though, of the 2-2 teams in the league, they are definitely the best one, in my opinion. If not them, it's the 49ers. But y'all's win, obviously, against Buffalo was very impressive. How you guys played on the road in Kansas City. Arguably, you're a play away from maybe going for 2 and winning that game. So, did have one lull against the Raiders, and you could say a bad 4th quarter against the Cowboys, but overall this is a good team. I have them at the 7th spot at 2-2 for me.
In my 8th spot, I have the Packers. I'm still a believer in the Packers. They are, like you said earlier, 0-2 with Jordan Love and 2-0 with Malik Willis, but I still think they get those 2 wins with Jordan Love. They did have a good 2nd quarter against the Vikings. Really the only team to really put some points up on the Vikings this year. I think they just haven't gotten the pieces together. Jordan Love getting hurt week 1 doesn't help the chemistry of the offense. I think the Packers are still a good team. I got them in my 8th spot.
Yeah, I think for me, the Packers are kind of like the Cowboys, where it's on paper they're good. They're just not finding their footing yet a little bit. I think they have a big matchup here against the Rams. If they win kind of convincingly against, even though they are a hurt Rams team, but that's still a good coach team. If they win big, they'll be back into my top 10. I actually have them bounced out from 7 last week, and I also have my Pittsburgh Steelers at 8 bounced out from last week, and replacing them is the 49ers. They move up 2 spots at 2-2. Big win against New England. I think they win big against Arizona here. And if they do show that, they're going to be back up quickly into my top 5 because I think still the best person, maybe the best personnel in the league when healthy and defensively specifically. So they're in my A spot.
The only NFC East team I have in my top 10 is the Commanders and Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
The 3-1 Commanders, I mean, they deserve to be in the top 10 at this point through 4 weeks.
Yeah.
They look great. They got to continue to prove it, but for right now, they are in my 9 spot.
Yeah, this is actually, we have the same spot here because this is my second newcomer. The first time the Commanders have been in the top 10, and I have them at 9 at 3-1. Playing well. The offense looks really good, that college offense that everybody keeps talking about. But Daniels, the way he's playing as a rookie, seeing the other rookies in the last 3-4 years that have struggled and seeing how hard it is to adapt to the NFL. I know some guys get a little bit, we've seen it. This has kind of been the year that shows sometimes it is dependent on where you go because a lot of these quarterbacks out there right now are getting second lives. Yeah. So, people like Bryce Young and other guys that go to pretty bad organizations and stuff like that. I get that. But he is still playing at an exceptional level as a rookie. So I have them at 9. They, like you said, they deserve it. Big game this weekend.
That coaching staff with Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, they got some dogs over there.
They got it rolling.
To round out my list, I have the Seahawks at 10. I believe I had the Seahawks at 10 last week as well. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did.
They didn't move. They, like you said, they kind of got screwed over by the refs a few times in that game against the Lions. The offense still looked good. Their defense is banged up, and the Lions have one of the best offenses in the NFL. I still think they're a top 10 team.
Yeah, I agree. I have the same exact spot back into this, or for me, actually, it's a new top 10. So I have 3 new teams in the top 10. Seattle does, even off a loss, comes into 10th place. I could have had, there's a lot of teams I could have put here, like the Steelers, Seattle. There's a couple other teams, but I'm going to pick Seattle just because, one, they looked really good in that loss, had opportunities to be in that game, should have really been in that game if it wasn't for the refs. Yeah. And that's just a tough place to play right now in Detroit. They were clicking on all cylinders offensively. It was just one of those Sundays where every play call is working, and you just got to play catch up, and it's just one of those games. But that's the top 10. Those are the power rankings.
The top 10. Let's move into some college football for the week. Week 6 in college football. We have a few matchups. We have 4 matchups this week. Our least amount of matchups we've had so far. But just wait until next week. Don't worry. We will bring some bangers next week. We're going to make some picks here. Starting with the only top 25 matchup of the week. Missouri goes to Texas A&M. Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, this is actually our matchup of the week. We had a couple of picks to choose from. Ole Miss, South Carolina, which we'll talk about in a second. Miami, Cal. There's some good games. Again, not a huge slate, but seeing as though we're going to break this down a little bit, I'll make it quick. I like Texas A&M at home to beat the Tigers in this one. Texas A&M, in my opinion, should be they realistically should be like
football team
4-1. Yeah. So give me the Aggies at home in this one. Tough place to play. 12th man, they're gonna get lad.
I agree with you. First road game for Missouri this year. They have not really looked that great at home in their place. Going to be a tough one on the road. That place is always known for its atmosphere. It's going to be loud for Missouri. Give me Texas A&M.
Yep, and then we got SMU coming off a huge win against Florida State, smacking them around. They go to Louisville, number 22, Louisville. What are you going with on this one? I'm interested to hear this.
I think Louisville bounces back and gets a win after they're getting their first loss to Notre Dame last week.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need that loss to really lock in during practice and stuff that week. So give me Louisville over SMU.
Yeah, I'm actually with you on this one as well. I I like Louisville to bounce back. I actually picked them against Notre Dame. Obviously, that didn't work out for me, but I don't think they make that mistake twice. I like them here at home. I think this could be a little bit of a close game. I think it'll be maybe a little bit high scoring too. I could see that happening. So, but give me the Cardinals at home.
We got Ole Miss coming off their first loss of the season. They're ranked 12th. They go to South Carolina, which is a tough barn to play in. Who do you like in this one?
This is low-key like sleeper game of the week right here. This is a banger. I know South Carolina's not ranked. South Carolina is the best unranked team in the country for sure. They should be undefeated. They lost one game to some baloney by the refs against LSU. This is not a team you want to take lightly. This is not a team you want to go play on the road. And for Ole Miss, this is a rough game.
It's not
I like to see Ole Miss win here on a bounce back, but I'm going with South Carolina at home.
Okay.
Give me the Gamecocks at home to bounce back in. And I said that I hope they come back strong after that loss against LSU throughout the season.
Yeah.
And I think they do. I like South Carolina here.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough place to play, especially after coming off a loss to Kentucky. But Ole Miss, I think they should have won that football game. They should be undefeated. Give me Ole Miss to bounce back and get a dub. I think Jackson Dart and the boys, they get that taste of losing and they don't like it.
Yeah.
So they go get a win.
I mean, it's a big game for Ole Miss in the SEC with everybody else and how they're kind of playing. So they kind of need it, but big game for both of them. Let's move on to our last matchup of the week, or not matchup of the week, but pick of the week. We got my Hurricanes, baby.
Nice.
Number 8 Miami taking a trip and a half here, going all the way to Cal for an ACC matchup. That is so weird to say. It feels weird to say, but conference matchup. I'll go first because it's my team.
Yeah.
I got the Hurricanes in this one. I like us to bounce back. This is definitely the toughest quarterback that Cal's faced all season. I like Cam Ward to kind of bounce back. Had 2 picks in that game that we should have lost against Virginia Tech. To be honest, I think that call at the end was very favorable in our favor. So, but I like us to bounce back. I like us to kind of get back on pace and win a little bit convincingly here on the road.
Yeah, I agree. I just noticed we had 3 ranked teams all coming off a loss going into their next game. Or wait, no, Miami didn't lose, but
we didn't lose. We should have lost.
But I feel like
basically
that locker
lost.
Room, they feel like they lost that game.
Yeah,
which is good for Miami. So they feel like they lost, but they won. So they get the boys back and get them prepared to go to Cal. I like Miami as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's break down our matchup of the week, which is number 9 Missouri going to Texas A&M. We finally get to see if Missouri is for real, if they deserve to be the number 9 ranked team in the nation. They played their first 4 games at home, escaped Boston College, took Vanderbilt to 2 overtimes.
It's crazy.
The only upside, I think, for Missouri coming into this game is that they've had a bye week last week. They have 2 weeks to prepare for Texas A&M. But we still don't know who the starting quarterback for the Aggies is going to be. Coach Elko said this week that Connor Weigman could return as a starter. He was the starter to beginning the season. But Marcel Reed has been filling in, who's sort of like this dual threat guy. They've been getting it done on the ground the past couple weeks for A&M, who Marcel Reed has led them to nice wins over Florida, Arkansas. So they've been getting after it. Who is Missouri going to prepare for? It's going to be tough. Whoever starts on Saturday, but they've been getting it done on the ground with Le'Veon Moss, who has 471 yards through 5 games. They've been the ground and pound team so far. But if Connor Weigman's back, he's that pocket passer sort of guy. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. No, this is actually, I feel like this is going to be a great game to watch. But is this fraud alert Saturday? We might be sounding the alarms out here in College Station. It gets loud out there. The Aggies get very loud. That them fans get rowdy. It's tough to gauge really what the Tigers are. Like we've said, everybody's been saying it. Are they frauds? Who have they played? They've taken teams that they shouldn't have to really close games like Vanderbilt. This is a baseball school. That's a baseball school. They're going into double OT with them. This is definitely the true test that we've seen. They've only won the last 2 games by a total of 9 points. For the number 9 team in the country, that's not impressive. I know they played Boston College, a ranked team, if you want to call them that. They were in the top 25 for literally 30 minutes. So I don't know. We'll see. I think they're a little bit of frauds, but the passing game for Missouri also hasn't been as explosive as it was last year compared to last year. Like you touched on, they've been running the ball. Their motto is run the ball, play defense. They look like a Big Ten team out there, to be honest with you. But Texas A&M hasn't scored a ton either. Their offense has been dealing with that quarterback injury. Change of offense, change of look, going from, like you said, pocket passing, a little bit of an air raid offense to now it's more of a dual threat look, more on the ground. But I think this is a grind out matchup, in my opinion. The one thing I could say about the Aggies, they haven't turned the ball over in 3 starts with the backup. That's impressive. I know that that might not sound impressive, but in college football, to have a backup not turn the ball over in 3 games, that's huge, especially for the defense. You're not giving them short fields to work with. So, like Connor, is it Wigman or Weigman?
Yeah,
something like that. He is actually listed as game time decision going into this. So Missouri, like you said, they either going to, as soon as kickoff starts, they're either going to know if they're going to deal with a pocket side kind of air raid pro style look, or they're going to deal with a guy who can put it on the ground and run a little bit. So we'll see. I'm interested to see who's going to be the signal caller there for the Aggies. But in my opinion, the key matchup to this game is the Tigers defense versus Aggies offense. Missouri hasn't faced a team with this size of the Aggies at all this year, especially in the trenches. They got some big boys up front. This is really a true test for Missouri. Missouri is, like you said, they're coming off a bye week. They are coming off with more time to prepare. So this is a huge game for the Tigers, in my opinion, for the season. Definitely. To hang on to what is a powerhouse in the SEC. This is a big game, big matchup. They got to prove something to a lot of people, especially themselves and that coaching staff. And again, if you lose having a bye week, I know you're on the road in a tough environment, but you've had an extra week to prepare for this team. You hear all the noise. You hear all the, are these guys frauds? That should add a little bit of motivation to them. So we'll see how they respond and how they show up. Big game, though.
No, I'm excited for this one.
Yeah.
Let's gamble on some sports. We got a special. We put together something special for the NFL this week. We have an underdog entry for this one. We'll go back and forth with each leg. The first leg, Aaron Jones, higher than 3.5 receptions. He's had 4+ receptions in 3 games. He's run a lot of routes for the Vikings. Sam Darnold, kind of a safety net for him. Aaron Jones, over 3.5 receptions.
Yeah, really like that, especially with the wide receiving core playing a really good Jets secondary. Yeah. So we'll see, how that works out. But Derrick Henry, 85.5 rushing yards. The Bengals, they're giving up 145 on the ground. That's 7th highest in the league. I like to see the workhorse, the true workhorse of the NFL, the only true one to keep going, piggyback off that game in Buffalo.
Yeah, double against Buffalo last week, so we'll see if he can get there again.
He might double it again.
Deebo Samuel, higher than 52.5 receiving yards. Deebo's hit this in all 3 of the games he's played. He was out. I believe it was week 2 he was out against the Rams. But I love this matchup against the Cardinals for Deebo. 52.5 just seems too low against the Cardinals for Deebo.
Yeah, I like that as well. Jackson Smith, I never can say this guy's last name. Njigba. There's no N. 44.5 receiving yards. He's hit over his props in 2 of the last 3 weeks. I like him to do it again. He had a good game against Detroit.
Yeah. Seattle's offense looks pretty solid.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud, higher than 23.5 completions. Like I mentioned earlier, out. Joe Mixon out. They're going to have to throw the ball against this Bills defense. I think he can get it done with all those weapons. Maybe the Stephon Diggs revenge game, like we said, maybe he has like 8 or 9 catches for 100-some yards. Nico Collins always gets that volume. So CJ Stroud, higher than 23.5 completions. And if you sign up with code WOOD, you can get Dak Prescott's total passing yards at a 0.5 yard. That is a free pick, free square. Lock that in. I think he can get 1 yard against the Steelers. It might be hard, but he's going to get 1 yard against the Steelers. You will also get a $1,000 deposit bonus. Use code WOOD on Underdog. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Great. That's hitting. All of those are hitting. So
that's hitting.
Lock that in.
And then I have 3 more picks if you use a sportsbook. Miami, like we talked about, they are 10.5 point favorites going into Cal. I like them to cover that. I think they get the offense going. Cam Ward doesn't throw any picks. He protects the ball. He goes down, scores some touchdowns. Miami's covering the 10.5
We are.
at Cal. And then to the NFL. I love the Packers this week against the Rams. 3-point favorites. I think that's just too short. I think they win by double digits in this one. I like the Packers to get Josh Jacobs. He hasn't found the end zone yet. I think he could get 2 in this week against the Rams. Give me the Packers -3. And then Bills-Texans, our matchup of the week. I like that game to go over 47.5 points. I think that could be a banger. We picked it for a reason. I think both of those offenses get going, and we see a lot of points in that one. Give me the over 47.5 for that game. And that's all I got.
All of those are hitting, so lock those in. It's guaranteed. I'm a time traveler. They're all hitting. So.
That's episode.
That's episode 12 in the books. We got big divisional games in the NFL this week. Some good banger games.
Go Ravens!
Sunday night we host the Cowboys.
Prime
Historic game.
The
Love
nation
that.
gets to see the Steelers on primetime this week.
Guys, if you're watching that game and you're watching the offense, you're wow, the Steelers offense sucks. Welcome to being a Steeler fan, guys.
Oh, we're going to see TJ Watt.
TJ Watt.
Dak Prescott's going to be running all over the place.
This is definitely probably our best matchup of the year so far. So excited for that. That's a great game. We were kind of going back and forth on what the matchup of the week was for the NFL. That was up there. So banger of a game. We got okay college, some decent games. We got 4 games to look forward to in our matchup of the week with the Tigers going to play the Aggies. But next week, we got bangers coming in college football. I think we're going to have like 18 picks to choose from, what seems like. But yeah, big week of football as always. Playoff baseball, if you're into that. I don't watch baseball. I don't have a team. But that is happening. So
even though we're out.
I know
I'm
that's
take all this Orioles stuff down. But we appreciate you guys watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you're new. We appreciate
Turn the noties on so you don't miss a video.
Hit the noties.
We're always dropping 2 episodes a week, multiple YouTube. Follow our socials. We're going to post. I've been making some banger edits, in my opinion, in there. We got some good posts coming out, so appreciate y'all.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. We will see you next week after the weekend. Big weekend of football, as always. We will see you on Tuesday. Peace.
He's back.